It's NATO and the West concentrating so hard on learning the lessons from the end of the Second World War that we're in danger of forgetting the lessons from the beginning. It's a fact easy to forget that Hitler and the Nazis were only 6 months away from nuclear weapons. And this part of Europe very nearly descended into battlefield nuclear war. Where I'm walking right now would be ash and dust. And it is that realization more than any other, the realization that there cannot be another continent war, because it will not be a war, it will be an extinction, that both compels the European project and our current strategy when it comes to Ukraine. Putin knows that. He knows the risk, he understands it, and he holds it like a gun against our heads. The possibility of nuclear annihilation. Every man, every woman, every child, the European continent, to an extent, you could argue, the world. Putin has a gun against our heads. And therein lies the flaw in our current strategy. We do enough. We give the Ukraine just enough military aid that it will irritate Putin, but not actually anger him. But if the Ukrainians are ever to win this war, then we have to give them enough aid, enough military tech to do so, and that will anger Putin. So we can't do that. Instead, we give just enough, not to win the war, to perpetuate it. Now, if you put to one side the almighty horror and suffering of the Ukraine people, you could argue that in terms of the West, NATO, America, the UK, the EU, bogging Putin down in an Afghan-style quagmire is actually pretty good for us. Maybe that was our plan all along. Maybe Putin has fallen for our elaborate trap, and decades from now we shall congratulate ourselves in the books of history. Of course, we only control whether we escalate. Putin has escalated this conflict every step of the way, from military build-up to annexation to full-blown invasion to the bombing of civilians to the bombing of nuclear facilities, to breaking the terms of ceasefires so he can massacre women and children fleeing for their lives. And let's look at the facts of it. Let's look at what's likely to happen. Putin's army isn't going anywhere. Even if he obliterates the cities, the Ukraine people have made it perfectly clear they're never going to accept his rule. So his army is going to have to stay right where it is to maintain any semblance of order. And we'll continue to supply just enough to perpetuate the conflict. But what's to stop Putin from escalating it again and saying, well, I've got to annex these borders, countries that are bordered to Ukraine, because that's where you're supplying them. I have to annex those borders to protect my borders. The reunification of Germany and Austria, we do nothing. The Germans retake the Rhineland. We say, well, that's fair enough. Hitler annexes the Czechoslovakian border. Ooh, steady on now, Adolf. Hitler invades Poland. Oh, well, I guess we better do something. Are we making the same mistakes again? Or is it already too late?